Let's get this thing started. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. It's Tuesday. Let me turn that down. Holy moly. That's a little loud. There we go. Should be a little better. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show on this lovely Tuesday, day after Halloween. We had a lot of kids come through our neighborhood last night. I had the first kids came around 5:45. It was still light out, and got this wave of about 50 kids, like almost nonstop for an hour. Then we had about 40 more between then and 8 o'clock when I shut the lights off. But that's not really what I'm here to talk about. Halloween. I'm gonna be talking about censorship, because you used to not be able to say that word on social media without someone going, well, it's not censorship if the government's not doing it. You can build your own platform if you can't abide by the terms of service, blah, 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 blah. Well, I got some news for you. After we play the intro. But hashtag Paul Pelosi's game. I want to talk about Paul Pelosi more because they're still talking about him, but they don't want you to talk about him. But I got a feeling that the Pelosi family has been chatting with Homeland Security ever since their house was broken into, because the stories seem to be changing. Anyway, I'm not going to start singing David Bowie. Ladies and gentlemen, how about we play the intro and get this thing started? Johnny, play the intro.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only Dawg Knight.
Holy shit. You know, I was just testing y'all here, right? All right, let's start. Let me just try this again. Was I muted the whole damn time? Even on the pre-intro? No, I wasn't. I played the intro. Can I start again? Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as Dawg Knight on the internet. Welcome to the show on this Tuesday, the 1st of November, 2022. Maybe I should just endure the echo. Would that be a good idea? Because I mute it so that I don't have to hear you don't hear the echo during the intro, but then I forget to turn the damn music on. Yeah, I know, Mike. I know I'm muted. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. I appreciate it. Well, that's just how it's going to be today. Do I even bother editing that out? I doubt it. Anyway, so I don't know what the hell this is you sent me, Gunfox, but we'll check it out in a minute. Today we're going to talk about censorship. I said that before because, because there's some shenanigans going on. And I'm pretty sure that the Pelosi family, who probably gets briefings from Homeland Security, probably gets some of this thing that they're doing. And I'll get to that later. Anyway, I'm just going to say good morning, everybody. I feel like a dummy. And then we'll go from there. First, the chat today, and on the Rumble side of the ledger is Advocates Diabli. Thank you for being here. Wow, what the hell happened there? Is it that really that loud or that soft? What the hell's going on? This is not a good day. Let's try this. There we go. And on the YouTube side, Gunfox61 gets the bell. Thank you for being here bright and early. And Chicago Mike, thank you for the reminder that I'm muted. Although I think there's probably plenty of boomer comments in the chat. That's fine. Also on the Rumble side, good morning to Mike Savage, Blarg, Simon Wolfwood, and that's all. That's everyone on the Rumble side. By the way, even though you were watching me on YouTube, most of you, I suggest that you also subscribe to me on Rumble in case you don't see me on YouTube someday, because that happens. You know how that works. Also, it says the audio stream current bit rate is not good. Okay, this is not a good day. Let me just check my settings here too, because this is all kinds of messed up. Let's see how the videos. Well, there you go, 1280. It's supposed to be 1920. Anyway, we'll get this shit together someday. On the YouTube side, good morning, Gunfox61. I already said that. Who got the bell? Avocados Daily, Chicago, Mike, Somnambule Nation, Mike Savage, Blarg, Rockhopper, another friend from down under. Good morning also to Aaron Meredith, Asian Research Director, Thomas Cleaver, Kapow. First. Yeah, not really. Anyway, also good morning, Tyler F., Tyrannus, Alexandrius, Tremere Leech. I actually learned what a lich is. I think it's pronounced lich. Higgs in the house. Good morning from South Florida. I hope you guys are doing okay. You're from southern, farther South Florida, right? So you didn't get the brunt of the hurricane, did you? We're land of sunshine and bad drivers. Good morning also to Tarai Deos. Good morning. Sorry, I needed to sip that. Also, who else is here? Rod Corpse is in the house. Bub is in the house. Why are you so angry? Is in the house. Rachel Maddows, Dildo. Anyway, and that could be just about everybody. So, truth is, the muted segment is the highlight of the show. Well, wow. That hurts. All right. So, shall we talk about what's going on in the world? Yes, we shall, because that's what we do here. I've some fascinating things going on, I got to tell you, as I'm scrolling through the old Twitter feed here. I'll just give you a few of those, and then we'll get into what I really want to talk about, because I want to go through this Intercept article about the fact that the Department of Homeland Security has had a hand in censoring people on the internet, on social media. Oh, wow. You mean the government is censoring people? It's not just the social media companies with some heavy-handed shit from the government? Interesting. That makes social media companies agents of the government, doesn't it? So now there might be some teeth to some of these censorship lawsuits that could happen. I don't know. We'll see, but that's not the first thing. Now, first thing I noticed, of all the trending stuff on Twitter this morning, there was nothing that was really like news oriented. It was weird. Well, it was all entertainment shit. Usually there's something going on in the world. You'd think a week away from elections, there'd be a lot more news items trending on Twitter, but there's not. And I think I have a sneaky suspicion it's because well, maybe because the Democrats aren't doing so well. At least poll wise, usually if Democrats are having big poll leads and shit like that, you'd be hearing about it nonstop, but you're not hearing about it. And maybe that's why it's not trending on Twitter. But the one thing that was trending on Twitter that seemed to be, somewhat current event-y kind of stuff. That's a weird way to say it, but was this hashtag, a message to Elon Musk. Now, a lot of people are just up in arms about Elon Musk. Good morning, Black Hebrew Israelite. How you doing?
That's right.
So there's a whole bunch of people, this hashtag, a message to Elon Musk, is trending. And a lot of people just using it to take a dump all over Elon Musk's name, for example. Well, this person's like, no thanks, I'm not thirsty. I don't know what that means. But here, message to Elon Musk. I always thought you were a douche, but your Pelosi tweet confirmed it. Fuck you. Who cares what you think? You're Phil H with some numbers behind his name with 35 followers. Nobody cares. You've been here how long? How long has Phil been on Twitter? Does it say here? Well, here, let's look at his profile. Been on Twitter since June 2022. Okay, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. Nobody cares. Message to Elon. Now, look, the number of followers you have on Twitter does not mean anything to me. You can have 10 followers and still say something that makes sense. And you can have 50 million followers and say some douchebag, stupid-ass shit. But nobody cares. Someone here, let us be honest. Your sell date is nigh. Will Twitter rot faster than this lettuce? Well, there are some celebrities leaving Twitter because they're pussies. Anyway, I wonder if I can say that on YouTube. Am I going to get in trouble on YouTube for that? That's why I have the Rumble. Because if I get in trouble on YouTube, I'll just go on Rumble until the strikes fall off. But we'll see. I'm still going to broadcast on both platforms. Let's see. Someone else. A message to Elon Musk. Your commitment to free speech can be a great and important thing, but you sabotaged it by jumping the gun so moronically, referring to all too clearly a clearly bogus source. You should apologize and recommit yourself. You have the power and resources to do great good. Interesting. See, they're mad because he linked to some stupid article from some very unreputable news source, right? Just saying, hey, there's a tiny bit chance that Paul Pelosi story may have more to it than meets the eye. And it didn't matter what he linked to. He could have linked to anything and still said the same sentence. So I don't care what this person, sure, he linked to some goofy news source, then he deleted it, right? Nobody cares. Good morning, Galactic North, DI Freighter Watcher, Sarah's in the house, K-Shell's in the house. Nice to see y'all. I don't think a snake oil salesman could get any skeevier than this guy, but you did it. A message to Elon Musk. Cute. So anyway, this is just one of those things that the Twitter people allow to I think this is just the old Twitter engineers doing their thing, trying to make something trend that is negative towards their new boss. By the way, apparently the salesperson, the top sales executive for Twitter, resigned last night, basically locked out of all their stuff and has packed their bags and gone. I still say, in the immortal words of what's the dude's name? Not Tommy. Vince, in the immortal words of Vince, yes, the great philosopher Vince Neil, girl, don't go away, man, just go away, right? don't care. By the way, thank you, Somnambule Nation, Simon Wolfwood, and Tyler F. for promoting the show on your Twitter feeds. If you have a Twitter or Facebook or Getter or Gab or Minds or something, please share the stream out with your friends and neighbors and anyone else that you follow on social media. I'd greatly appreciate that. Ligma. Yeah, Ligma. Those casting us on Twitter were able to do so. Freedom of speech in action, yet they don't see the irony. Yeah, they're stupid. I gotta say it. Anyway, yes, he is a salt farmer. Absolutely. Asian research director. The salt must flow is the way, what's that guy, Salty Cracker or something like that says all the time? Because the salt must flow. Yes, it must flow. Anyway, all right, let's move on. Now, I don't even know what Sydney Watson's here is saying, and I'm just going to find out. We're going to react to it together. But she said resharing this because let's forgive, right? Nope. I'm curious. I'm just curious what she has to say here. And I don't know if you're familiar with Sydney Watson. She is, well, let's just, you don't have to know who she is to see what she said. But let's see what Sydney Watson has to say here. I'm just curious. And so here we go.
So I'm not going to forget.
Not forgetting what?
I'm not going to forget what the government did and didn't do over the last number of years.
Uh-oh.
I'm not going to forget what the police forces in countries all around the world did to their own
I know what this
citizens.
is in reference to.
There
was an article in the
overreach
Atlantic.
and tyranny that they participated in because they were
Just
just
in
following
Australia.
orders. I'm not going to forget any of that. I'm not going to forget children being ripped out of school, being taken away
right?
from their friends and shoved into online classes that were not helpful to them.
Let me ask a little quick poll in the chat. Have you happened to heard of the Atlantic article about forgiving and forgetting about the COVID stuff? That's what she's referring to here. There's an article in the Atlantic, something about well, can we just have a grace period, a moratorium on worrying about what we got wrong on COVID? No. This is Sydney telling her story. Okay, here she goes.
That damaged them emotionally and psychologically.
Nope, you
that
fucked
they,
with the
in
kids.
some ways, might never come back from. Kids are resilient.
Hello, Damien, by the way.
But I'm not sure how resilient.
Yeah.
I'm not going to forget the fact that friends of mine, that loved ones of mine, lost their jobs and their businesses because they would not follow totalitarian, crazy regulations and crazy mandates that didn't change anything, that didn't help anything.
Yep.
I'm not going to forget the fact that because of government oversight, because governments are not tremendously good oftentimes at responding to emergencies, I didn't get to see my family for 3 years. I still haven't seen my family, and I'm not the only one. I'm not going to forget the fact that people couldn't see their loved ones as they were dying in hospital. They couldn't go to cemeteries, couldn't go to their funerals, couldn't say goodbye. I'm never going to forget any of that. Because if the last number of years has taught us anything, it's that government a lot of the time has no idea what they're doing. And they act without consequence, without repercussion, and you are the one who loses out. But they don't care. They don't care, and they never will. So I'm not going to forget.
Sydney,
And I hope that you weren't either.
you are spot on. Give her one. Let's just give her a round of applause. Go ahead, Sydney. And I don't think you should forget. I think it's a reference to, I'm pretty sure it's in reference to that stupid Atlantic article. If I have time, I will link it. I don't need, what is this? Carl Sagan knew. Anyway, so more power to Sydney there. All right, I'm going to go down the line here. Oh, by the way, yesterday we were talking about, you know how we were talking about the Democrats and they're saying that the Republicans are such a dangerous threat to democracy and all that shit. Well, yes, this is appropriate. In fact, this is appropriate. Thank you, Chicago Mike, for sponsoring the show. And Chicago Mike, you are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. Thank you, sir. Who says, maybe we'll have some music. Since I'm in a 50s, I don't know why I have 50s music, or 50, I should say 50s-esque music, right? 50s-esque music. So we're going to use we're going to use, we'll use 50 Styles music for the commercials today. Here we go. Today's show is brought to you by January 6th. When something bad happens in this country and you're a Democrat, then blame everything on January 6th. If an asteroid hits the planet, it's January 6th fault. Yeah! Thank you, Chicago Mike, for the great commercial and for sponsoring the show. I greatly appreciate you, sir. That's a good one. That's a good ad. I love that ad. Remember, if you don't know what to say, just write a good ad like that one. That was fan-fucking-tastic. By the way, so yeah, because, we were just talking about how, the media and Democrats, I know that's redundant, but like to say that, the Republicans are so using violent rhetoric, and that's why, Paul Pelosi was in the house with a guy that allegedly was in his underwear. At least that's how they reported it first. Now they're saying, oh, by the way, they're trying to gaslight you on that even. They're trying to say that they never reported that was a Republican conspiracy theory. But it wasn't. It's how they reported it first, and then they're trying to pretend like they did. But anyway, so they were talking about the violent rhetoric that caused that. Well, here's another example. I think we saw this one yesterday. Here's Rick Wilson on MSNBC. And now this, I can't say that this rhetoric is completely violent. I don't know. I'll let you be the judge.
And the donor class can't just sit back on the sidelines and say, oh, well, don't worry, this will all work itself out. They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump. And that's a fact.
What?
And the donor class
Wait, what did he just say? On the
sidelines and say, oh, well, don't worry, this will all work itself out. They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump.
Okay, that, I'm sorry. I should not have, I don't know, man. Well, it is against Trump, so I don't think YouTube's going to care. If it was anybody else, they would care. But they don't care if it's against someone who's, who's not part of the establishment. All right, here's an interesting thread by Tom Bevan. Tom Bevan is, I can't remember who he writes for. He's co-founder, he's the president of Real Clear Politics. And he is highlighting a new poll today, 1 week before the election. This is interesting. So the new Wall Street Journal poll, generic congressional ballots, Republicans +2. The last poll taken in August, it was Democrats +3. So that's quite a swing, especially when they tend to under poll people on the right. And also, usually when they're close to even, you can expect a pretty, usually significant Republican victory. So that's interesting. And Biden's approval rating, 43 approve, 55% disapprove, a -12 on approve, disapprove. Wow. Now, a couple things he highlights here, too, is this is an interesting one. Absolutely stunning movement among white suburban women. GOP has seen a shift in its favor among several voter groups, including Latino voters and women, particularly white suburban women. That group, which the pollster said make up 20% of the electorate, shifted 26 percentage points away from Democrats since the Journal's August poll and now favors the GOP by 15 percentage points? Wait a minute. You mean all the advertising about abortion didn't get the white suburban women to jump, all over the Democrats' tiny sides? Tiny sides. What the hell does that mean? Fact sides, whatever. That's amazing. Real quick. Thank you, Javanus Mudhouse, to respond to the show. Greatly appreciated. Who says, I'm going to buy a yeet cannon and name it Amnesty. Sandy Rochelle and I are well. Oh, that's Hig. I'm sorry. Sandy Rochelle and I are well. I was up north during the hurricane, then traveled south of its path the following day. I intentionally missed all the excitement. Well, that's a good idea. But I was curious. You don't have to put it in the super chat. I appreciate that though. But if you let me know, is it, Did you have any problem in the area where you are home based though? Because I thought you were home based up near Tampa, and it kind of missed that, didn't it? I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know my way around Florida very well. Excuse me. Anyway, good morning, Natasha Kayleen. Well, nice to see you in the chat again. All right, so now we'll take a look at this real quick. Republicans' prospects rise as inflation overshadows abortion. Wall Street Journal poll finds. Well, that's exactly what I said, isn't it? I didn't realize that it was it was one of those where you gotta do the here, let me see if I can find an archive of this article. Has anyone archived this yet? We'll see. Well, yes, they did. It was archived 3 hours ago. So I'll put this link in the chat. Survey shows Republicans with an edge in voting enthusiasm. Inflation overshadows abortion as a key issue. The voters are giving Republicans a late boost in support just ahead of the midterm elections as pessimism about the economy and direction of the country jump to their highest levels of the year, a new Wall Street Journal poll found. The survey conducted about 2 weeks before Election Day suggests that abortion rights are less important in voting decisions than voters indicated in the summer after the Supreme Court in June ended the federal constitutional right to abortion. What? No, here we go again. No, they didn't end a federal constitutional right to abortion. They affirmed that there was not a constitutional right to abortion, and that the state should take over the reins on that particular issue. They didn't end it. They just said there wasn't one. Okay, that's a big difference. It's not like someone granted someone a federal right to it. They realized that the court erred in 1973. But anyway, and look, again, I think states should personally, I think the states should make some accommodations for that, but whatever. I know that there's wildly different opinions, and I have no problem with people who think they shouldn't. But that's what the American experience is about. Every state where you live, you can figure out what you want to do in your state and make your laws the way you want them. And you know what? If they don't like them, sometimes you can go to another state, or you can figure out how to make the populace believe what you believe, and then have another vote and see if you can work it out. But anyway, Republicans have regained momentum since then and now hold a slight edge over Democrats 46 to 44% when voters asked which party they would support in their congressional district if the election were held today. And so anyway, it talks about where the focuses have changed. I still think that one about the white suburban women is most fascinating, though. White suburban women are leading the charge. Anyway, all right, let's move on. And on that note, in Arizona, apparently Kari Lake has gone out to a commanding lead over Katie Hobbs, right? Katie Hobbs, who will not debate her in Arizona. Everyone's favorite poll by prep school kids is back. Lake is clobbering Hobbs, and if this is right, I'm dubious that the Senate race is tied. If Lake is really that far ahead with such a large gap, you'd expect that she'd drag Masters over the line, because she's up 11 points, but Blake Masters and Mark Kelly are tied. Now that I don't know if that really isn't that unusual, that maybe that Katie Hobbs is such a bad candidate in Arizona, and Kari Lake has made her case very strongly, and also just the whole debate thing has killed Hobbs, right? She looks like an idiot. So, home base near Pensacola. Okay, so your home base is farther north. That's not as bad there. Let's see, but the fact that Masters and Mark Kelly are tied, and with Kari Lake having that commanding of a lead, do you think that perhaps she could carry Blake Masters over the line, and we'd have another Republican senator from Arizona? It'd be interesting, and I don't think Blake Masters is anything like John McCain. I think he's very different than John McCain. That'd be an actual Republican senator. But anyway. So, let's see. Hilarious. If all the bad candidate talk by the Josh Kroshars of the world, Lake carries Masters and Abrams sinks Warnock. Yeah, that's the other thing. Stacey Abrams is so unpopular in Georgia. Apparently Herschel Walker has a lead again. And she's tanking. I mean, Governor Kemp is leading her by 12 points. And with Warnock and Herschel Walker even close. It'd be interesting to see if Herschel Walker becomes a U.S. Senator, which I think would be hilarious because the dude can't talk. I mean, not because I think he has good ideas. I don't know if they're all his, but he's just can't talk. I mean, Herschel Walker could never talk. When he was a football player in Georgia, he couldn't talk. But he's, but I like Herschel. I think he's a good man. I don't care. And speaking of Georgia, here it is. Georgia Democrat. Oh, this is a weird one too. Here's another weird election one. So this guy, Georgia Democrat Representative David Scott, has disappeared from the 2022 race. Just poof, he's gone. No one's heard from him. Elderly Georgia Democrat Representative David Scott has made no public appearance for several weeks, and his younger Republican rival wants to know where he's hiding. He's been missing. The last time anybody's seen him was in September in Congress, and he's not been campaigning, GOP candidate Cesar Gonzalez told Breitbart News. Scott, age 77, has represented the poor and majority black 13th Congressional District to the south and west of Atlanta since 2003. So almost 20 years. Roughly 60% of the residents are black, 1/4 are white, and 10% are Latino. Gonzalez continues. The September appearances that he made were tightly managed. You could not go there unless you were invited. Only certain members of the press were allowed, and only certain people could take pictures. He's very feeble, and he's been on declining health, and in that condition, you don't want your constituents to see you. Wow, that sounds like a certain president we might have right now. You got to be very careful. You got to manage those appearances very carefully so the man doesn't fall off the stage. Scott's disappearance has been noted by local media and local Clayton County GOP party, partly because it might mean the Democratic district will elect a Republican for 2023 by default. Yeah, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying that one, not that particular district, but we'll see. Scott was born in 1945. His campaign did not return messages from Breitbart News. So anyway, he's been missing. There's a little more to the story, but Cesar Gonzalez been out there campaigning. Let's see, what is this? This is an ad? Georgia's 13th district should vote for him, Gonzalez says, because I've lived in the community 25 years. I'm well aware of the issues that are plaguing the community, the drop in median incomes, the rising crime rate, great loss of opportunity. My own personal story, I came from the inner city and grew up in a boys' home as a ward of the state. Wow. Fast forward to the president. I'm an engineer. I work for SpaceX. Uh-oh. He also worked for Blue Origin, so he's worked for a couple billionaires. So I know what it takes to bring a community out of that decline. I use my own experience as an example. The cornerstone, my campaign, is the need for more vocational training. Well, I think he's probably right there. So I'm not going to play his ad, but you can check him out in this particular article. All right, let's move on to what I really, really want to talk about today. This is what I really want. Too many people don't want to polish politicians. We want the average guy to run for office. So average guy runs for office, and the same people cry, but he's not a polished politician. Oh, I don't care if he's a polished politician. I think he's country. He's country, all right. Yes, I don't care if he's polished. In fact, I like the idea that he's not polished. But it is funny, just, he's because I just laugh because he's so country. It's just not something I'm used to. But I'm not from Georgia. A lot of people from Georgia are pretty country too. So, it is what it is. Good point. All right, let's see. He's been so well-spoken. Being so well-spoken is the devil's tool, just like God separated us with languages. Key example, Obama. Well, okay, I'll give you that. Here you go, Natasha. I got you. Good morning, Septus Wolf, by the way. Nice to see you here. And also on, I'm just trying to checking the Rumble chat, too. Oh, Google was on the auction block in the early 2000s because it was failing. Then CIA, and look where they are now. And people are shocked they might do government's bidding. Well, we're going to talk about that one right now. A lifelong DARPA project went offline the exact day Facebook went live. Same servers? Good. Or LifeBlog, a DARPA project. Well, that's an interesting thought, too. All right, let's get into that, though. That's what I want to talk about. And that's this picture right here. See this picture? I want you to examine this real quick because we're going to talk about where this is from. So this is confidential, case this, document this, filed then, blah, blah, blah. Facebook content request system. Government reporting system. Now, what the actual hell is this? Well, here's the thread. Docs show Facebook and Twitter closely collaborating with the Department of Homeland Security, FBI, and FBI to police disinformation. And plans to expand censorship on topics like the withdrawal from Afghanistan, the origins of the stupid 19, info that undermines trust in financial institutions. What? So anyway, FBI agent Laura Demlow was in communications with Facebook that led to the suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop story in 2020 over the false allegations that it was disinformation. This year, she met with Twitter, and DHS to stress, quote, "We need a media infrastructure that is held accountable." An FBI agent is doing what? Is doing what? What? Now, Facebook and Twitter created special portals. The government had their own portals for the government to rapidly request takedowns of content. The portals, along with NGO, non-government organization partners, used to censor a wide range of content, including obvious parody accounts and content disagreeing with government pandemic policy. Now, I'm going to stop just for a moment because I want to remind you of something that if you spend any time on social media, here, let me put my face up here. If you spend any time on social media and you complain about, for example, social media censoring people, right? And if you type that into your Twitter feed or into a Facebook feed, inevitably, there'd be some fuckwit that would reply to you saying social media is moderating content on social media is not censorship because they're not part of the government. To which I would say, my first answer would be, well, wait a minute. I didn't say it was government censorship. I said it was censorship. And censorship is bad no matter who's doing it, okay? Especially when it's maybe ideas that question the mainstream narrative of certain things. We should be able to do that even on the free and open social media platforms. And so, the first of all, it's still censorship. Also, I didn't say anything about illegal censorship. I just said it's censorship, which it is. And now we have confirmation that entities of our federal government have been engaging in a sort of suggestive censorship, which is from the government. Now, let's go back. We're going to go back to the thread. Actually, you know what? Let's go to the article. Do I have time? I might have time for this. So here's the article from The Intercept. It's an online publication called The Intercept, and this article is called Truth Cops. Leaked documents outline DHS's plan to police disinformation. And we're going to go through this as much as we can today. And this is probably the last thing I talk about on the show. I do have some other articles open, but we're probably not going to get to them. This is what I find important, and this is an article by Ken Klippenstein and Lee Fang. Now, Lee Fang was on Tucker Carlson last night, and it's funny because, in fact, let me see if I can find that. I want to see. Let's go. I'm pretty sure. Let's do Lee Fang, open link in new tab, because someone was bitching about him being on Tucker Carlson last night. I don't care who Lee Fang is or what he does, and if he's on Tucker Carlson, if he's exposing these bozos, I don't care. Yeah, here it is. Aaron Rupert. This jackhole was very, very concerned that Lee Fang is on Tucker Carlson. Doc Show, Facebook, Twitter, working with FBI, DHS to monitor disinformation. Anyway, I found that funny that Aaron Rupar is very concerned because Aaron Rupar is a dickhead. Anyway, did I say that out loud? Oh, shoot. I hope my daughter's here with a baby and I can't be saying bad words like that. Jesse Leon, what's up? Nice to see you. All right, let's go through this article because this is, I didn't even show you that, did I? I had my face up there. All right, here it is. Here's the article. The Truth Cop leaked documents outline DHS's plan to police disinformation. You know, every time I say DHS, which is the Department of Homeland Security, which was created during the Bush years, I should do this because they're a bunch of clowns. And it was interesting because someone was telling me, you know, how today's Republicans aren't like the Republicans of 15 years ago, about the Republicans of 30 years ago. And I asked them, well, wait a minute, what does that mean? You're saying that these, you know, the MAGA Republicans, you know, have gone so far to the right. And I asked the question, well, wait a minute. What are some Republican policy ideas and stances that they take now that they didn't take 30 years ago or that they didn't take 15 years ago? Because most of these policy stances, the Republicans have generally been anti-abortion, they've been low taxes, they've had, you know, all these different things. What has changed? I mean, you know, generally thinking that gay marriage is probably not a government function, certain things. What have they changed versus what people on the Democratic left have changed? Because they've changed a whole lot of shit since then. But pretty much the position, except for this particular topic, the Department of Homeland Security, which came about because of the attacks in 9/11 and the Bush years where they're like, oh, we had to consolidate our intelligence gathering forces, blah, blah, blah. Well, some people at the time were warning that, hey, wait a minute, this old Department of Homeland Security, a lot of these things you're talking about can be turned on Americans. And they said, oh, no, you don't have to worry about that. We would never focus this Department of Homeland Security on Americans. Well, here we are today. The Truth Cops leaked information. It's quietly broadening, the Department of Homeland Security is quietly broadening its efforts to curb speech it considers dangerous. An investigation by The Intercept has found years of internal DHS memos. DHS. Emails and documents obtained via leaks and an ongoing lawsuit, as well as public documents, illustrate the expansive efforts by the agency to influence tech platforms. Platforms. I can't imagine that was their original mission, is to curb speech. Hello, TC. What's happening? Oh, and Foxmore's in the house. Foxmeyer. I just say Fox. And Lord Stanhope, what's up? The work, much of which remains unknown to the American public, came into clear view earlier this year when DHS announced the new Disinformation Governance Board, a panel designed to police misinformation, false information spread unintentionally. That's what misinformation is. Misinformation is defined as false information spread unintentionally. Interesting. Disinformation is false information spread intentionally, and malinformation. Factual information shared typically out of context with harmful intent that allegedly threatens U.S. interests. While the board was widely ridiculed, immediately scaled back, and then shut down within a few months, other initiatives are underway as DHS pivots to monitoring social media. Now that its original mandate, the war on terror, has been wound down. My, how the mighty have fallen. They've gone from worrying about international terrorism to what you write on social media. That's sad. Behind closed doors and through pressure on private platforms, the U.S. government has... Oh, wait a minute. The U.S. government? They get one too. has used its power to. Oh, by the way, remember the what's that? What's it called? The Disinformation Governance Board. Remember Nita Jankowicz, the one who did Broadway tunes about how she's really weird and liberal and not. Anyway, behind closed doors and through pressure on private platforms, the U.S. government has used its power to try to shape online discourse, according to meeting minutes and other records appended to a lawsuit filed by Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmidt, a Republican who is also running for the Senate. Discussions have ranged from the scale and scope of government intervention in online discourse to the mechanics of streamlining takedown requests for false or intentionally misleading information. Do you remember, like during COVID, they took a bunch of people down. Platforms have got to get oh my God, this sentence. Platforms have got to get comfortable with government. It's really interesting how hesitant they remain. Microsoft executive Matt Masterson, a former DHS official, texted Jen Easterly, a DHS director, in February. So, Microsoft executive used to be part of the Homeland Security Department because they hired the Homeland Security Department at Microsoft. That's fucking fantastic. In a March meeting, Laura Demlow, an FBI official, warned that the threat of subversive information on social media could undermine support for the U.S. government. Oh, noes! They might undermine support for the U.S. government? Oh, my God, that's terrible. That's just terrible. And this is going to take me forever to get through at this point. Demlow, according to the notes of the discussion, attended by senior executives from Twitter and JP Morgan Chase. Didn't JP Morgan Chase just dump Kanye West from having accounts with them? Holy shit. Senior executives from Twitter and JP Morgan Chase stressed that we need a media infrastructure that is held accountable. Held accountable to who? To who? Good God. Quote, we do not coordinate with other entities when making content moderation decisions, and we independently evaluate content in line with the Twitter rules, a spokesman for Twitter wrote in a statement to The Intercept. Right. You mean the government, people from the government coming in and saying, well, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't. Who gave you the policy on what you could say about COVID-19 then? Who came up with that? Wasn't that suggested by the Biden administration? Remember Jen Psaki was talking about how they go in and tell them things that we think you should take down. Really? And you don't think the pressure of the federal government on your business? Oh, that's a nice business you have there. Maybe you should take that down so we don't start fucking with you. Huh? Good God. There is also a formalized process for government officials to directly flag content on Facebook or Instagram and request that it be throttled or suppressed through a special Facebook portal that requires a government or law enforcement email to use. Don't write the wrong comment on the baby pictures on Facebook, because the government has a special portal to take you down. At the time of this writing, the content request system at facebook.com/x-takedowns/login is still live. DHS and Meta, the parent company of Facebook, did not respond to a request for comment, and the FBI declined to comment.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
DHS's mission is to fight disinformation. Why? And who decides what is disinformation? Oh, stemming from concerns around Russian influence. in the 2016 presidential elections, beginning to take shape during the 2020 elections, and over efforts to shape discussions around vaccine policy during the coronavirus pandemic. Documents collected by The Intercept from a variety of sources include current officials and publicly available reports reveal the evolution of more active measures by DHS. DHS is censoring what you put on face crack. According to a draft copy of DHS's Quadrennial Homeland Security Review, DHS's capstone report outlining the department's strategy and priorities in the coming years, the department's plans to target inaccurate information on a wide range of topics, including the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic. Oh, the origins? Really? What inaccurate information have you heard about the origins of the stupid 19 pandemic that recently maybe they've told you that you might have been right? To a high degree of accuracy, that is probably not naturally occurring. 99% probably was not naturally occurring. Anyway, and the efficacy of stupid 19 vaccines, racial justice, U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan, and the nature of U.S. support to Ukraine. So they were targeting inaccurate information on stupid 19, vaccines, racial justice. Really inaccurate information on racial justice? What might that be? And the nature of U.S. support to Ukraine. Oh, you mean the aircraft carriers full of money that we're sending them? The challenge is particularly acute in marginalized communities, the report states, which are often the targets of false or misleading information, such as false information on voting procedures targeting people of color. All right, let me just, I think someone else made this point, and I'm going to steal it.
Sounds crazy!
Now, why might I hit that little button? The challenge is particularly acute in marginalized communities, which are often targets of false or misleading information, such as false information on voting procedures targeting people of color. They think those of us who have a little extra melanin in the skins are stupid. They think we're stupid, and they have to protect us stupid people. That's what that sentence says. Let me read it again. The challenge is particularly acute in marginalized communities, which are often the targets of false or misleading information, such as false information on voting procedures targeting people of color. Y'all dumb black people, is that what they're saying? Y'all stupid black people, they can't figure out how to vote because, they about to tell us some false and misleading information, and it's up to the jobs of the Department of Homeland Security to protect us black folk. Good God. The inclusion of the 2021 U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan is particularly noteworthy, given that House Republicans, should they take the majority in the midterms, have vowed to investigate. This makes Benghazi look like a much smaller issue, said Representative Mike Johnson, Republican from Louisiana, a member of the Armed Services Committee, adding that finding answers will be a top priority because they fucked it up and it should be investigated. But the Democrats don't give a shit because it was Joe Biden. Now, how disinformation is defined by the government has not been clearly articulated, and the inherently subjective nature of what constitutes disinformation provides a broad opening for DHS officials to make politically motivated determinations about what constitutes dangerous speech. Oh, you think? What a revelation! What a revelation! DHS justifies these goals, which have expanded far beyond its original purview on foreign threats to encompass disinformation originating domestically, meaning they are curbing the speech of Americans. Wow. I wonder if there's anything in our laws or traditions or maybe our Constitution that would say, this may not be okay. Oh, wait. That might be the First Amendment to the Constitution. Good God. It comes to disinformation originally by claiming that terrorist threats can be exacerbated by misinformation and disinformation spread online. Well, isn't that convenient? But the laudable goal of protecting Americans from danger has often been used to conceal political maneuvering. Oh, no way. No way. In 2004, for instance, DHS officials faced pressure from George W. Bush administration to heighten the national threat level for terrorism in a bid to influence voters prior to the election, according to former DHS Secretary Tom Ridge. Did he say that? That's interesting. Not surprising, though, I guess. And look, my days of supporting George W. Bush are long over anyway, so I don't care. I'm glad this is coming out. U.S. officials have routinely lied about an array of issues, from the causes of its wars in Vietnam and Iraq to their more recent obfuscation around the role of the National Institutes of Health in fighting the Wuhan Institute of Virology coronavirus research, or funding, excuse me. Yeah, they lied. Fauci lied multiple times about it. He just lied his ass. That dude, he lied his ass off. As Eddie Murphy would say, he lied his ass off. Anyway, that track record has not prevented the U.S. government from seeking to become arbiters of what constitutes false or dangerous information on inherently political topics. Earlier this year, Republican Governor Ron DeSantis signed a law known by supporters as the Stop Woke Act. No, not known by supporters. That's what it was called. It was called the Stop Woke Act, which bans private employers from workplace trainings asserting an individual's moral character is privileged or oppressed based on his or her race, color, sex, national origin. The law, critics charged, amounted to a broad suppression of free speech deemed offensive. The Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, or FIRE, has since filed a lawsuit against DeSantis alleging unconstitutional censorship. A federal judge temporarily blocked parts of the Stop Woke Act, ruling that the law had violated workers' First Amendment rights. Florida's legislators may find plaintiff speech repugnant, but under our constitutional scheme, the remedy for repugnant speech is more speech, not enforced silence, wrote Judge Mark Walker in a colorful opinion castigating the law. Now, the extent to which DHS initiatives affect Americans' daily social feeds is unclear. Now, that's interesting they use that example, but I don't have any problem going against the Stop Woke Act. I get what he's trying to do, but again, Florida's legislature, the extent to which the DHS initiatives affect Americans' daily social feed. Oh, by the way, I don't think he's asking them to stop. I don't know what that has to do with this particular article because they're talking about social media, but I agree with them. I think that the Stop Woke Act needs some scrutiny. Now, but that's not the same as the curriculum in schools. That's the state's job. Okay? Now, telling private employers well, I got you. Anyway, during the 2020 election, the government flagged numerous posts as suspicious, many of which were then taken down. Documents cited in the Missouri Attorney General's lawsuit disclosed. And in 2021, in a 2021 report by the Election Integrity Partnership at Stanford University, found that nearly 4,800 flagged items, technology platforms took action on 35%, either removing, labeling, soft blocking speech, meaning the users were only able to view content after bypassing a warning screen. The research was done in consultation with CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. Oh, another federal government sub-agency. Prior to the 2020 election, tech companies including Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Discord, Wikipedia, Microsoft, LinkedIn, and Verizon Media met on a monthly basis with the FBI, CISA, and other government representatives. According to NBC News, the meetings were part of an initiative still ongoing between the private sector and government to discuss how firms would handle misinformation during the election. Wow! Isn't there a word for that? What's the word for that? What's the word for that, class? There's a word for that. I know you know. Now, the stepped-up counter-information effort began in 2018 following high-profile hacking incidents of U.S. firms when Congress passed and President Donald Trump signed the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency Act, forming a new wing of DHS devoted to protecting critical national infrastructure. An August 2022 report by the DHS Office of the Inspector General sketches the rapidly accelerating move toward policing disinformation. Now, we can blame Trump for this, but I'm pretty curious who holds the reins in this particular horse and buggy. It's probably not people who like Trump. I'm just telling you. Good morning, Jaeger Pony, my favorite Canadian, and also Data Wasteland. Nice to see you. From the outset, CISA boasted of an evolved mission to monitor social media discussion while rooting disinformation concerns to private sector platforms, or routing, whatever you prefer. In 2018, then DHS Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen created the Countering Foreign Influence Task Force to respond to election disinformation. Interesting. The task force, which included members of CISA, I'll just call it, as well as the Office of Intelligence and Analysis, generated threat intelligence about the election and notified social media platforms and law enforcement. At the same time, DHS began notifying social media companies about voting-related disinformation appearing on social media platforms. So, do you think this Trump kicked himself in the ass with for signing this particular bill, or this particular agency? In 2019, DHS created a separate entity called the Foreign Influence and Interference Branch. So they just keep adding new little subsets of this shit. It's unbelievable. To generate more detailed intelligence about disinformation, the Inspector General report shows. That year, its staff grew to include 15 full and part-time staff dedicated to disinformation analysis. Now, again, disinformation, that would be information that people to spread unknowingly. That seemed to be the definition they were using. In 2020, the disinformation focus expanded to include Stupid 19, according to Homeland Threat Assessment, and issued by Acting Secretary Chad Wolf. This apparatus had a dry run during the 2020 election when CISA began working with other members of the U.S. intelligence community. Office of Intelligence and Analysis personnel attended weekly teleconferences to coordinate intelligence community activities to counter election-related disinformation. Again, this did nothing. Good point, Annalyn. This did nothing for President Trump. Emails between now, because remember, the career bureaucrats in the government, what percentage of them are Democrats? I'm going to guess 70, 80%, maybe 90 even. Emails between DHS officials, Twitter, and the Center for Internet Security outline the process for such takedown requests during periods leading up to the 2020 or November 2020. Takedown requests. So they have the system of takedown requests in both Facebook and Twitter. Whose business is it of the government's what you post, or what business is it of the government? It's amazing. You're gonna have that. You know how over in like Great Britain they arrest you for things you tweet? It makes me feel like it's coming here. So the meeting notes show that the tech platforms would be called upon to process reports and provide timely responses to include the removal of reported misinformation from the platform where possible. In practice, this often meant state election officials sent examples of potential forms of disinformation to CISA, which would then forward them on to social media companies for a response. So again, this is one of those, that's nice social media company you got there. Would just be terrible if something happened to it, right? Now, under President Joe Biden, the shifting focus on disinformation has continued. In January 2021, CISA replaced the Countering Foreign Influence Task Force with the Misinformation, Disinformation, and Malinformation Team, which was created to promote more flexibility to focus on general MDM, which is misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. By now, the scope of the effort had expanded. Oh, because nothing. You never notice how government agencies and government task force, whatever, you ever notice how they never contract? They always expand. They need to delete this whole section of the government. I was going to say, with what preferably, but I better not. Anyway. So those were created to promote more flexibility, focus on general MDM. By now, the scope of the effort has expanded beyond disinformation produced by foreign governments to include domestic versions. So they're gonna try to take down America's stuff on Twitter and Facebook. The MDM team, according to one CISA official quoted in the IG report, quote, counters all types of disinformation to be responsive to current events. Jen Easterly, Biden's appointed director of CISA, swiftly made it clear that she would continue to shift resources in the agency to combat the spread of dangerous forms of information on social media. One could argue we're in the business of critical infrastructure, and the most critical infrastructure is our cognitive infrastructure. That's some word salad right there. So building that resilience to misinformation and disinformation, I think, is incredibly important, said Easterly, speaking at a conference in November 2021. CISA domains gradually expanded to encompass more subjects it believes amount to critical infrastructure. Last year, The Intercept reported on the existence of a series of DHS field intelligence reports warning of attacks on cell towers, which it had tied to conspiracy theorists who believe 5G towers spread COVID-19. One intelligence report pointed out that these conspiracy theories are inciting attacks against the communications infrastructure. I haven't seen it. Now, CISA has defended its burgeoning social media monitoring authorities, stating that, quote, once CISA notified a social media platform of disinformation, the social media platform could independently decide whether to remove or modify the post. Oh, isn't that lovely? So once we told them what misinformation we wanted them to take down, they still had a choice of whether they're going to take it down or not. Does that sound like a good paraphrase? Holy shit. But as documents revealed by the Missouri lawsuit showed, CISA's goal is to make platforms more responsive to their suggestions. Now, I'm going to stop for a second here, because I want to go. First, I want to know, and I asked this question on Twitter this morning, what elected representatives, either in the House of Representatives or the Senate, know this is a feature of the U.S. government, that they're going in and telling social media companies what things they need to censor? Is this like one of those things that an entire congressional committee would know, or maybe just the leadership in the House or the Senate or whatever? And if that is the case, do you think maybe some members of Congress have utilized these departments to get things that they wanted taken down or not talked about? So I'm going to use a recent example. If Nancy Pelosi knows that these departments are able to do this kind of thing, and she happens to be the Speaker of the House, the most powerful person who's not the president or the other guys in the Senate, Mitch McConnell, do you think any way she could pressure these people to pressure other media outlets to take down negative things about Nancy Pelosi. I wonder if that could be, because I was looking, there's a lawyer, an internet lawyer named Viva Fry, who was just questioning the events of what happened over the last few days with her, Nancy Pelosi's husband, and he got a little bit a 7-day Twitter timeout or some kind of that, or he got a Twitter timeout until he took the post down, and so he eventually decided to take the post down. But why would questioning the timeline, and he didn't say anything mean or anything, he just questioned the timeline that this guy came up with. Why would they take down his Twitter page for that? That makes no sense, unless, of course, Department of Homeland Security doesn't want any alternative suggestions of what might happen on that day when Paul Pelosi got hammered. So, anyway, thank you. Thank you, Joe McCarthy, for sponsoring the show. Just, who says, with putting a small bullet in the tip jar, who says, was I wrong? Well, I think you might be onto something there, Joe McCarthy. Let's see. There's a lot of this article left. I don't think I'm going to continue through it, but you get the idea. Oh, wait. Here's one. I wanted to get to this part because I'd read some of this. So meeting records of the CISA Cybersecurity Advisory Committee, the main subcommittee that handles disinformation policy at CISA, show a constant effort to expand the scope of the agency's tools to foil disinformation. In June, the same DHS Advisory Committee, which includes Twitter head of legal policy, trust and safety, Vijaya Getty. Oh! What? The Department of Homeland Security's Advisory Committee included Vijay, but she just got fired. Oh my goodness. And University of Washington professor Kate Starbird, they drafted a report to the CISA director calling for an expansive role for the agency in shaping the information ecosystem. What? The report called on the agency to closely monitor social media platforms of all sizes, mainstream media, cable news, hyperpartisan media, talk radio, and other online resources. They argued that the agency needed to take steps to halt the spread of false and misleading information. Remember now, let's use Stupid 19 as the example. The false and misleading information that they were designed to stop the spread of, right? How much of it turned out to be correct in the end? Good God. Thank you to Rideos for sponsoring the show. They introduced CUI, Controlled Unclassified Information, began October 10th, 2021. This policy says anything created from the government isn't to be shared with non-government employees without authorization. They don't want the American people to know what the government is doing. Exactly. It's just, and this though, but this, the fact that the trust and safety person from Twitter was also on this committee, the advisory committee for this government agency whose main goal is to take down misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. They're working together. Twitter's a government. This makes Twitter a government entity. This makes Facebook a government entity. This makes Instagram a government entity. They are all agents of the government. Therefore, can we call it censorship now? If these agents of the government, these social media platforms, are censoring people, that is illegal censorship of the American people. per the First Amendment. That's exactly what it is. Because now these social media platforms have made themselves agents of the government by doing this. I think there's a case. Thank you, Elon Musk, who said women don't have and Twitter doesn't have a vagina. So there you go. Thank you. Bye-bye, vagina. Vajayjay, what's her last name? Vajayjay gets some. That's so wrong. That is so wrong. That is so wrong. What do you think all the bots are about, Dawg? Well, I don't know. So anyway, so they argued that the agency needed to take steps to halt the spread of false and misleading information with a focus on information that undermines key democratic institutions. Oh, so they can protect your democracy. Really? So to protect our democracy, we must censor you on social media platforms. And also it's funny here too, with focus on information that undermines key democratic institutions such as the courts or by other sectors such as the financial system. That's why JP Morgan Chase was there, or public health measures. That's fascinating because remember, who is it that says that the court is illegitimate? The Supreme Court. Isn't that a government institution? A democratic government institution? Such as the courts. Who are most likely to say that the courts are illegitimate? And who say it freely? It might be the people on the left, Democrats. The President of the United States even says that shit. So undermining the key democratic institutions such as the courts, who undermines the Supreme Court more than anybody? The people who hate it now because they're no longer have the court may not be as liberal as it used to be, right? To accomplish these broad goals, the report said CSIS should invest in external research to evaluate the efficacy of interventions. Interventions in what people say? Specifically with research looking at how alleged disinformation can be countered and how quickly messages spread. George Hill, the director of the Election Security Initiative at CISA, recommended the use of third-party information sharing nonprofits as a clearinghouse for information to avoid the appearance of government propaganda. Too late. Too late. Last Thursday, immediately following billionaire Elon Musk's completed acquisition of Twitter, Getty, get some, was terminated from the company. Yeah! The Biden administration, however, did take a stab at making part of this infrastructure public in April 2022 with the announcement of the Disinformation Governance Board. The exact functions of the board and how it would accomplish its goal of defining and combating misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. I don't like how they're whitewashing this. They need to keep putting them out in full, longhand. Hello, Uncle Bad Touch. Uncle Bad Touch is in the house.
Come on, man.
Who amongst us thinks the government should add to its work list the job of determining what is true and what is misinformation? And who thinks the government is capable of telling the truth? Wrote political media critic Jack Schaefer. Spot on, Jack. Our government produces lies and disinformation at industrial scale and always has. It overclassifies vital information to block its own citizens from becoming any the wiser. It pays thousands of press aides to play hide and salami with the facts. Or hide the salami. Ew. DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas alluded to the broad scope of the agency's disinformation effort when he told the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee that the role of the board, which by at that point had been downgraded to a working group, is actually to develop guidelines, standards, guardrails to ensure that the work has been ongoing for nearly 10 years does not infringe on people's free speech rights, rights of privacy, civil rights, or civil liberties. Well, they failed miserably if they're getting people to take shit down based on the government agency telling you, well, I don't think that should be up there. It'd be really bad if they left that up there and people would find something out that's different from our narrative. No, that'd be really bad. It's quite disconcerting, frankly. He added that the disinformation work that was well underway for many years across different independent administrations was not guided by guardrails. It's guardrails. My eyes are not working. And then DHS eventually scrapped the Disinformation Governance Board in August. While free speech advocates cheered the dissolution of the board, other government efforts to root out disinformation have not only continued but expanded to encompass additional DHS sub-agencies like Customs and Border Protection, which determines whether information about the component spread through social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter is accurate. Yeah, as if it's their purview to do that. Again, this is crazy. All right, I'm out of time to go through the rest of this. There's a lot more. I'm about halfway through, but I'm not gonna continue. I do suggest to go and read this entire article. But now, I guess the question again is this? Can we call it censorship now? Because that's what it's blatant censorship, and that's what that disinformation, whatever board that Nina Jankowicz was supposed to be the head of. Really? Do you want Nina Jankowicz in control of what you can and cannot say? Do you think that if there's another pandemic, we should be restricted in what we can say about it, given the fact that the people who were the most skeptical about some of the things were right 100%? They lied their asses off to you. That Pfizer hadn't even tested certain data regarding these jabs. Wow. Anyway, real quick, thank you, Joey Boy, for donating a small bullet, who said, I totally didn't try my granddaughter. Oh, I think you meant kiss. I totally didn't kiss my granddaughter on the mouth. That was corn pop and white face. Yeah, if you saw the clip of Biden, it didn't even bother me that he didn't really kiss her on the lips. She turned her face away from it, but it looked like he kissed her on the lips. But also just the weird way he puts the sticker on her and keeps his hand there right above her, right above her boob there. And while he kisses her, it's just weird. Joe Biden's weird as fuck. I'm sorry. Anyway, other tabs that are in the links today, I only have a few. I'll just give you the headlines right now. State of Nile, Hulchel chimes in, or calls crime woes a GOP conspiracy. New Yorkers say it's real. Governor Kathy Hochul insisted in a new interview that Americans' rising fear about crime has been manufactured by master manipulators in a national conspiracy ahead of Election Day. Yeah, Kathy, no, crime is not really up in New York. Keep with that message, though, because New Yorkers love it when you tell them that the day they got mugged, they didn't really get mugged. That was just someone trying to give them a massage in their wallet pockets. So that's all that was. There's an interesting article from MSNBC. What's his name? Noah Rothman. This is a fairly, you got to read this one. This is a fairly self-reflective article This ugly and self-defeating impulse could be ruining Democrats' midterm chances. Democrats want to blame voters who chose their pocketbooks over threats to institutions, but the party itself has muddled these waters. It's an interesting read, and especially for someone from MSNBC, I just say pray for Noah Rothman's job, because he kind of, he kind of gives it to Democrats in this one, but he makes some really good points. You should check it out. For the Minneapolis Star Tribune, they took my access from that article, never mind. And then then Gunfox sent me this article. The Atlantic City Board of Education member John Devlin has confirmed that the AC Board of Education has signed a 5-year lease to rent office space for the Atlantic City Public Schools Central Administration offices. According to Devlin, the 5-year lease will cost the taxpayers of Atlantic City more than $700,000 per year. This appears to be an increase of more than $200,000 per year versus the previous lease deal. We've been advised that the Atlantic City Board of Education has available space at the high school and elsewhere that they already own and is not being used. There's also underutilized Carnegie Library that the Atlantic City Board of Education completely missed out on a golden opportunity to use that pristine place for educational purposes. To stay in this building for another 5 years at this kind of expense is inconceivable. Is that $700,000 a year for office space? Holy crap. What makes it worse is the plan moving forward to knock down New Jersey Avenue School and build a new administration building at the tune of $10 million is just ludicrous. If the Atlantic City School Board of Education is going to build a new administration building, why wouldn't they have chosen to save money and use available space versus locking in for this expensive lease option for years to come? So people in Atlantic City are not happy with the Atlantic City School Board. And that is the last article I have up in the tabs. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me today on the Morning Night Live. Please don't do anything. Stop. Don't click it. Don't click it until you hit the like button. Hit the like button. Share the stream. There's only 14 likes and 38 people here. Come on, people. Also, if you're over on Rumble, hit that little plus sign. That helps even more than it does on YouTube, because I don't think YouTube lets my stuff go around anyway. I have too many. I'm too questionable for them. But on Rumble, if you hit the little plus sign or the thumbs up or whatever it is, that's a good thing. You can help me over there too. By the way, make sure you also subscribe on Rumble, even if you're going to watch on YouTube for now. On days that you see that I am not on YouTube when I'm supposed to be, that might just mean I'm over on Rumble, because YouTube doesn't let me contact you if I have a little problem with them. Anyway, got to go. Hit the like button, share the stream after the stream on any given day. You can sponsor the show at pdognight.live 24 hours a day. That is the place where you can get your prioritized chats on and just throw money at me. I'm fine with that too. And please put a comment in the comment section if you're watching on replay. I need to go. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is P. Dawg Knight, and I am out of here. Bye-bye. Poof. Hey, this is P. Dawg Knight, and thank you for watching today on the P. Dawg Knight Channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm P. Dawg Knight, and I'm out of here.